Let's go. Come on. This forever. No surrender. Yeah. You know that this right here forever.
Hello and welcome to Mma Uncaged Episode 2, and it's proudly brought to you by Ginger Fox Coffee. Fantastic coffee, guaranteed to make you as clever as a fox. Check out gingerfoxcoffee.com for more information. What an incredible 7 days it has been. 3 UFC events. Wednesday saw Anthony Smith on the receiving end against Glover Teixeira, where teeth were being handed back to the referee. And then on Sunday, it was all about emotion. Walt Harris fighting in honor of his late daughter up against the very experienced Alistair Overeem, and just not good enough on the night. Joining me, as always, Garreth Soldierboy McLellan, a former UFC fighter and former EFC middleweight champion. Garreth, it was an incredible event, and it was something to witness, wasn't it?
Yeah, look, listen, fantastic. They did an amazing job in with what they've done, putting together 3 fight cards in such a short space of time, finding guys that are all capable, finding guys that all meet the requirements, making sure they worry about the health and safety of each individual. I really got to take my hat off to them. You know, they brought back sport, because really the only thing that's live at the moment. Interesting. And it was, like I said to you, it's different. It's very different. Our last show, we chatted about this. Things are not the same. I'm pretty sure that the rule set behind the scenes is as tight as they come. Knowing I've been there, I know how they operate. I know what they like. They are straight down the line. There's no deterioration from what they want, and you have to follow the rules. And it's a proud moment for MMA. It's a very, very proud moment for MMA that they're the guys that have stuck up their hands. They're the guys that have said, hey, we're going to press forward. We are not going to succumb to what's happening. We are going to put ourselves in a position where we're going to bring live events to the people. And kudos to them. Great job to Dana and his team.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what's next, because, I mean, there's talk of Fight Island now. You know, it's really exciting. And as you say, Dana White's done a phenomenal job, but it was a slick production. And I think we're getting used to now hearing everything that goes on in the arena, because I think it was Hardy, he was saying, like, he heard 77 different voices. Like, even heard Daniel Cormier saying if he doesn't look after that leg, he's going to lose the other leg. I mean, that's something to get used to, isn't it?
Well, I think when you're in there, you're so in the zone, and that heavier drown of noise gives you the ability to focus in on your job and just on your crowd. On your team again. So now all of a sudden you can hear a pin drop. Everything becomes so vocal, becomes so loud. You know, what am I listening to? His corner screaming orders, my corner screaming orders. You can hear the commentators throwing their 2 cents in. It's a lot to take in, and it can become very distracting. The guys have done an exceptionally great job to come out and perform. I think the fights were fantastic. I don't think at any stage you could say, there were 1 or 2 that probably didn't live up to the standard that we expected. But across the board, you just saw great fights.
In terms of the fights, they were extremely close. I mean, the judges had to intervene on several occasions. We saw guys standing and banging, women standing and banging. It was really awesome to watch, and it was a great advertisement for MMA in general, and well done to the UFC once again for lifting the spirits at a time when there's no live sport at all.
It's been the quality of the fight was really top class. You saw great skill sets over the last few days, and just a testament to how far MMA has gone. It's just really just keeps escalating. Next level. Strikers are just becoming way more efficient. Guys who weren't good on the feet are developing themselves and becoming a problem on the feet. The ground, we're not seeing so much ground display anymore. Main card fight on the weekend. Good display by a guy who's a stand-up fighter. A lot of people don't know that he's a black belt. So it changes all the time. There's just this different dynamic. You can never go, okay, this is what I can expect, because if you think that, you're going to be terribly surprised.
Garreth, it's my pleasure to welcome a guy you know very well, a guy, in fact, you are responsible for one of only 2 blemishes on his professional MMA record. He is, of course, EFC, I would say, interim middleweight champion at this point after your victory over Lazar. Is that right, Dricus?
No, I'm the middleweight champion now. He was the interim champion, and that's
he's
what
the
the
boss.
fight was all about.
The boss.
Yeah, I'm the boss. What's up, Garreth? How you doing?
The boss.
I had to go there. But, Dricus, thanks so much for your time. I think it's very frustrating at the moment, isn't it? No one can train properly. You're not sparring. You're not rolling with anyone. What have you been up to?
Well, I mean, thanks for having me. It's definitely frustrating. I mean, more frustrating than anything is the fact that I don't know when we're gonna fight again. But as far as sparring and rolling goes, like as soon as we heard about the lockdown the week before, I had 4 teammates move in with me at my house. We had the whole gym. We had a mat. I have a double garage, so we had all the mats installed in the garage. We have all the equipment. So I mean, we're training like normal. We're doing video footage to send to our head coach Monet. I have one coach living with me, holding pads, and I mean Scotty, my strength and conditioning coach, is sending our program. So we are continuing doing 2-3 sessions a day, like we always do. The big frustration is more just not knowing when to be ready, when we can expect to fight.
I think that's I think that's a big thing of being a champion and being somebody who's trying to set themselves in the fight scene and develop themselves and go further, is that you've got to constantly adapt. And if you had just sat back and gone, okay, well, I'll sit it out, what does that do for you? Does that keep you as sharp as you want to stay? Does that keep you focused? For me, I think there's a prime opportunity now, Dricus. You see the UFC, they scrambling for fighters, but again, then it's a flight issue. But could be a possibility that you could put your hand up at some stage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what we're staying ready for. I mean, we have a few guys that's climbing the ranks in the EFC, and then we have myself looking for bigger opportunities. So, I mean, to stay ready, it's absolutely essential, and to make sure that when that opportunity comes, that you are ready and you don't get blindsided by it. So this whole thing, yeah, it's a little bit of a setback, but it's all about how you approach it. And I think, like you said, it's all about putting in everything you can right now to that when the opportunity comes, that you're ready and you don't let it slip through your fingers.
Dricus, you guys aren't training with masks, are you?
Yes, Mark, you.
No, with masks. Like the actual masks? Are you training with that, or?
We train with masks. No, the thing is, we're all living together, so masks aren't necessary. So yeah, I mean, we're not doing outside right now, but I mean, everybody that we've been living here, like the people, they moved in with the idea of staying for 3-4 weeks, and we're at week 7, 8 right now. So I mean, it's the house has been full for a while.
Yeah,
is there a set of rules there, Dricus? Are you keeping those boys in line?
Well, I mean, I am the youngest. Cameron,
okay.
I mean, he's younger than me, so I mean, I can tell him what to do. But my brother is here, and yeah, I'm the youngest guy. So I mean, it's basically being back to being a student, I guess. Living with all your friends, it's pretty great.
Oh, listen, not a bad way to be in lockdown, if I say so myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Dricus, I do have a question for you. Like it's something that I experienced when I went over, and something that I feel quite strongly when it comes to the new generation of guys going across to the UFC, and that I felt like there was at stages that I needed to upskill myself or kind of level up in certain areas. Is this something you've thought about? And are you looking at different ways to train? Are you looking at different input from international coaches in terms of making sure that when you step into the UFC, because I mean that's ultimately where you want to go, that you are 100% prepared to take on the best in the world?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. I guess that's for every athlete. That's a big concern. Are you getting the right training? Are you doing everything you can to be the best? Not hard work. I mean, everybody works hard. That's not the thing. It's are you working smart enough? Are you getting what you need to compete with the best in the world? And like I've been traveling quite a lot, training in the States with Henry Hooft, with Craig Jones, with the guys at Hard Knocks at Sanford MMA, training alongside guys like Kamaru Usman, Luke Rockhold, Angla, who's a double champion in 1FC. Really training with the best to be able to compare yourself. And I think that's the biggest thing, is to be able to compare yourself, because even though you're not doing your full fight camp or you're not staying there permanently at this stage, it's about if you can compare with those guys in training, you know you have what it takes to compare with them in the cage, and you can definitely see where you lack. And there you can see the clear difference of what are we doing right and what are we doing wrong. What can we change a little? And that's the greatest experience, is to go over there and see where do we need to work on the most to be able to compete with those guys.
Yeah, look, I mean, I also, sorry, Sia, I mean, I
carry on.
also experienced the same environment when I was there, and it really boils down. It comes to it's millimeters at the end of the day. I don't think there's a massive difference between what we're capable of and what they're capable of. I think it's a difference in a thought pattern, and then I just think it's the abundance of knowledge around you that there's 100 guys to fall back on, and in terms of a small change in something, whereas locally, you've got 3 or 4 good guys in your corner that you're spending a lot of time with. And, when you spend a lot of time with those people, it can become a bit stagnant in terms of you start to figure each other out and that. And their small margins is really ultimately what takes you to the next level. If I threw a fight at you now in the UFC, I mean, what would be a prime pick for you if you're in your first outing in the UFC?
That's a good question. To be honest, obviously any fight to get the opportunity will be great. But in my mind, I'm really thinking if I'm going to compete with the best in the world, if you're fighting, like you said, millimeters makes the biggest difference. It's the small millimeters that separates the greats from the good. And if I have to take a fight in the UFC right now, I honestly would like to fight a top 20, maybe even a top 10 opponent. Because once you go in, you're fighting lower ranked guys, you're fighting guys that are not that active. You are most likely going to fight a guy from Russia who's a killer. He's in one area of MMA, and that one area might be what exploits you, what he can use to beat you. So for me, to be honest, if I can fight somebody in the top 20 for a debut, for a short notice fight, that would be my ideal. Anybody top 10, top 20, get that first fight out of the way and exactly see where you rank. And because I think if you are thrown in, if they are schooling you, getting you ready, fighting guys that also makes their debut, I mean, that's not bad. That's great. But I do believe then you are starting at the bottom of the pile, and that's a big pile to climb.
Yeah, it is. You're 100% right.
Dricus, I'd like to ask you, has there been any contact from the UFC or any sort of suggestion that they're at least considering you? And then obviously the man who joins us today, Garreth Soldierboy McLellan, is responsible for one of the very few blemishes on your career. What have you learned since that defeat back in 2014, where you are now? I mean, because you've evolved into an incredible athlete, incredible champion, and someone that's definitely flying the flag for the continent.
Oh, well, thanks for that. I mean, we've been in talks. My agents, I have an agent with Danny Rubenstein and at Ruby Agency, and they are based in Vegas. And I was there in January, February, when I was there for about 6 weeks in the States. And yeah, the offer for the UFC, we are right there. I'm currently in a little bit of a custody battle with KSW, but the offer is right there, and I believe we're right there. And it's all about making the smart decisions right now. And this whole COVID thing, it did affect it in a big way, but not all bad. My contract with KSW ends in November, so it's the timing is kind of perfect to now. I have to just work on my game, and when the contract is finished, then the big possibility most likely is going to be the first fight in the UFC. So, I mean, that's what we're working on. That's we are 100% in talks with them. And, I mean, that's something great to look forward to. And it's something to work towards. And now it's all about the timing and seeing what happens with this whole virus. As far as fighting Garreth, yeah, he's one of the 2 guys that beat me. But, I mean, what better guy to lose to than that? I mean, he was...
Do you want to say, Dricus?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was my first loss in combat sports from my whole kickboxing career, K1 career, everything. I've never felt defeat, and I do believe that single loss made me 4 times the fighter I was on that. When I stepped in there, I was very confident in my abilities, and as soon as I got in there, I could see the difference experience made. I could see the difference that getting fights behind your name and getting tested in different areas of MMA, that changed my whole mindset. My mindset was winning always. And after that fight, I realized if you put on a good fight, it's still a good fight, whether you're winning or losing. And the mindset should always be to perform and go out there and give your best, and not necessarily just fight to win a fight. And that's what it's all about for me right now. After that fight, that was the one fight that made the biggest difference in my career, because I realized what it takes, and I realized you think you're doing enough, but you're most likely not. So enjoying the journey. I was at a point right there where I was just focusing on winning, and I wasn't enjoying what I was doing anymore. I was just doing what I had to win a fight. And after that loss, I realized, listen, that's not going to get you anywhere. What you need to be doing is you need to go out there and have fun and remember why you started doing the sport in the first place, and do whatever you can to get that win.
If I can jump in there, I must say that being of the age of 19 and being so young, that can really go two ways. I mean, you could either go in there and take that loss, and it could be detrimental, and it could change your outlook, and you could have gone in a different direction, and you didn't. You put your hand up, you put the effort in, you grind it. Your kill list is full of amazing names in South African MMA. I think you proved yourself time and time again, and I think at this current stage, you're rightly deserving of the title as the best fighter this country has. And I do think that you've only just started to touch kind of the boundaries of what you're capable of. I think there's so much more to come from you, and I think your head is in an amazing space, and I think that you've really grasped everything around you, not only just from the fighting space. I think as a businessman, you've really made smart decisions in your brand and what you're putting out there. And I think that's another thing that we are lacking in South Africa in terms of good guidance for fighters and teaching them how to look after themselves and prepare for a later stage. So I must commend you on that, Dricus. I really enjoy watching you fighting, and I think you're a fantastic ambassador to our sport. I carried that flag for so long, and then for you to come along and take it to the next level is really a testament to me on what I did as in my career to ensure that the sport carried on and that we had the right guys coming through. So yeah, great job, man. Really, really fantastic job.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for that. It's really means a lot coming from you.
Dricus, I want to find out, obviously you've been watching the UFC events the last 7 days. What did you make of what you've seen without fans? I mean, you can hear the breathing, you can hear the commentary, all the teams. What did you make of it all?
Well, firstly, like, any fight was a great fight. Like, I've been watching all of it, and it was just amazing. I was so hungry to just see a live event. So that was amazing. I've been waking up at 3 a.m. every time the show's on, watching it, and it's incredible. And once again, without the crowd, it's a whole new dynamic. And I do believe it has its fair share of challenges. I mean, for a fighter to get mentally ready, it's a tough state. You have to make sure that the mental side is ready more than anything else. And I would only believe if I had to go out there and fight without a crowd, it would be super hard, especially where I'm at in my career now. In the beginning, it wouldn't be, because when I've made my debut, there was maybe 5 people in the arena. Whereas right now, the arenas are packed. So, I mean, I think it does come with challenges, but I think it's really great to see how professional MMA has become as a sport as a whole. The UFC is an absolute mega company. They're doing massive things for sports in the whole world. And to see how professional they're handling this whole thing, and they're doing absolutely everything they can to help the fighters stay active, to help the people generate income. They're really doing great things. So it's amazing for me as a fan to watch the fights, and it's amazing for me as a fighter to see how people are, even though the mental challenge are there of not fighting in front of a crowd. It must be so different than fighting in front of a crowd, because the shots just sound so much louder. It sounds insane. When you hear those shots on TV and there's no crowd, it's unbelievable how it sounds. So no, I'll tell you what.
Yeah. Sorry, Karen, shoot.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I mean, I've been really enjoying it, and I think it's great for the sport, and I think it's great for the world to have something to look forward to, and for the athletes and everybody. I mean, this can take a toll on so many people, and it's absolutely great to see what the UFC are doing.
Yeah, I tell you what, I've been punched a few times in my face, and sitting on the couch and watching the fight and listening to the damage that's getting put on each other. It's yeah, it makes me cringe. I like think to myself,
It does.
what were you thinking? What were you
It
thinking?
definitely does. When you don't hear the crowd
What were you
interrupt the shots,
doing?
it sounds like, whoa. It
Whoa,
sounds like the
yeah.
135ers are going to take me out. It sounds too hard.
And leg kicks.
Oh.
The one thing that I've taken the most notice of is a leg kick is a leg kick, and it's hard and it's destructive, but it doesn't really sound the way that it sounds now when there's no noise. They sound horrific.
Yeah, it is. It really makes you think twice before stepping in there again. You're like, wow, is that really what it's like?
Do I really want to do that again?
Well,
Yeah.
I've got to ask you two guys. I mean, you saw Glover Teixeira absolutely wreak havoc with Anthony Smith. And the ref at the end said that he was to blame because it was a late stoppage. Do you agree with that?
So for me, it was. I mean, Anthony Smith is an absolute machine. He's one of the toughest dudes. I do believe he blew out his gas tank in the first 2 rounds, and he was winning that fight by far. I didn't think after round 1, I thought the fight would be over in another round. I mean, but Glover just came in there so conditioned. I couldn't believe for a 40-year-old man, he came in there and when he came out for the 5th round, he was still so fresh. And I believe Anthony Smith did take a whole lot of damage, but I don't have a problem with the stoppage, to be honest. No, it might be young arrogance. It might be a little bit, but for me, I believe Anthony Smith is the kind of guy that when he goes out there, he knows what he's putting on the line. And, sometimes fighters can be too tough for their own good, but I honestly believe it was a fair call. It was every time the ref did warn him, listen, improve your position, I will stop the fight. He did so. So, I mean, he was there the whole time. And yes, he did take a beating, but I do think the way he fought was definitely more because of the fatigue. He was tired. His gas tank was done by the 2nd round. I believe that's what made him take so much damage. Until round 2, he was dominating that fight. Until past round 2, he was dominating that fight. So, I mean, the ref can say that because the whole teeth, he took out his teeth, all that. It does sound very intense, but that's fighting for you. And you could hear him when they spoke during the fight. That's what he was there to do. And he did a great job at it didn't go his way and he did get injured, but he lives to fight another day and he'll come back stronger, most probably.
Yeah, he's a warrior, man. Absolute warrior.
I have to agree with Dricus there. I think he looked so sharp in the beginning. His combinations were crisp. He was on the money. Everything he threw was landing. Glover did amazing stuff in terms of how he rolled off punches and he used that boxing skill. Look, it was a kickboxing versus a boxer. And I think that you learn how to control yourself and keep your gas tank and manage your fight system in there during the course of a fight. And I think Glover did that amazing. I think for a guy who's fought as many fights as he did, and the experience that he has, I think he pushed too hard. But again, it's the environment. You got your corner screaming at you, throw this, throw that, throw this. He's trying to keep up with their commands. And look, when he was in trouble, when he was beat up, he was still throwing incredibly effective punches and elbows. So it's a tough decision to make for a ref. But in the case he stops a fight early, then the fighter sits back and you stopped it too early. You should have let me go out on my shield. And, this whole debate comes. And again, it's just a perception of how you see the fight.
All right. We don't have a lot of time, unfortunately. Let's get on to Sunday's event and touch on what was an emotional main event. Alistair Overeem against Walt. He's got the best nickname in the game. Sorry, Dricus still knocks the big ticket, man. Come on. Are you kidding me? But it was an emotional fight. And you can see everyone was trying to get behind Harris because of the death of his daughter. But at the end of the day, experience of Overeem was just too good, wasn't it, Dricus?
Absolutely. I think Alistair Overeem definitely shocked me. My money was on Harris. And it might have been because of the whole situation with his daughter. It's absolutely, it's so sad. And yet at the same time, it's very inspirational to see him come back and look great. But I do think what told on the day was Alistair Overeem has been knocked out. He knows what it's like. he's been through it all. He had 63. It was his 64th professional fight. That is insane. So now this guy comes in, he has a 10-0 record with 10 knockouts. That's something that he has power, and we saw that exact thing happen in the fight. He rocked Alistair Overeem, and Alistair Overeem did the experienced thing. He just weathered the initial storm, and Harris wasn't used to that. Usually when he lands those kind of shots, the fight's over. And I definitely believe Harris is going to come such an amazing fighter out of this experience, because now he realizes you can't just throw everything all the time. It's the stuff you learn, and unfortunately he learned it in a hard way. But what better guy to go out against than Alistair Overeem? I mean, it was a memorable fight. It's something I believe that meant so much for him, just to get back in there after the whole trauma in his life. And for Alistair, it must have been so hard to fight a guy. And just respect to Alistair Overeem as well for taking that fight, not treating him differently. He went out there and he showed all the respect in the world, but he still put on a massive fight, and both of them did. And Alistair Overeem definitely showed he moved camps to train with Curtius Blades that beat him. And that just shows you, he's, even at the age of 40, having 64 bouts, he still wants to learn. And we saw that in this fight. His wrestling won him this fight, and eventually he just grinded it out. And that was the best wrestling and grappling we've ever seen from Alistair. So it was amazing to see.
I think a lot of people don't understand is that Alistair's he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I mean, he got it very young. Yeah. He does have that skill set. We just don't see it often because he's had so many stand-up fights through the years, and he has this incredible stand-up record. Yeah, look, listen, he got zinged. He got zinged very hard. And it's exceptional to stay in the game, to stay in the fight, stay composed, move. You're getting hit very hard by a very big guy. It's can often be very disorientating, and you would have expected Harris to put him away. But then again, experience. He got too excited, tried a jumping, flying front kick, missed, landed on his back. And once the big guy got on top of him, it was just very difficult to control, and that sucked him. You could see how much it sucked out of him that first round. And coming into the second round, he wasn't the same. He wasn't as sharp, and he didn't have the same footwork, and got caught by a big head kick. Oh, vicious. Yeah. And then when a guy gets on top of you like that, and he has experience and sprawls you out, and it's very difficult to recover from those situations. So, hats off to the ref. Gave him a lot of time. Spoke to him a lot, gave him opportunity to get himself out of there, and you could just see he was going nowhere and he wasn't going to get anything out of it. Great respect afterwards from Alistair. I think that's one thing that really every time it happens makes me proud as a sport. For such a violent environment, the compassion and the sportsmanship that gets shown by a guy every time afterwards just shows the quality of guy that's in there. And what we have done over many years to progress ourselves and put our hands up and say we're real athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to agree there. I think it was a great advertisement for mixed martial arts, because you had gentlemen afterwards, women also. There was immense signs of respect, and I think the sport has come a long way from the days where people were fighting out in car parks. After those early EFC days, we had guys in car parks brawling. Now I think the sport has evolved into a whole new place where it's now mainstream. People understand what goes into it. And I think these guys have been outstanding. And Overeem showed so much respect and invited Harris to come and train with him. It was awesome. Guys, before we run out of time, we're about to run out of time. Lastly, I mean, we can't not speak about Conor McGregor very quickly. And I'm dying to get Dricus' thoughts on this. Conor McGregor, obviously now Gaethje and Khabib lining up to fight each other. It looks like he's going to be staying at welterweight. Masvidal, is he the guy do you want to see Conor fight? Who would you like to see Conor fight next?
Well, to be honest, I enjoy Conor McGregor. I think he's an incredible athlete. I have the world's respect for what he's done for the sport. Yes, he's slipped a few times and he's done a few stupid things, but I mean, the pressure must be immense. And I honestly believe the way he came back for the Cowboy, it was incredible. And I'm definitely a fan of Conor McGregor's, but I'm a massive George Masvidal fan as well. and a massive fan of Gaethje. I'm not the biggest Khabib fan, even though he is a brilliant fighter. I'm just not personally. I'm a fan, but I'm a massive Conor fan. I'm a massive Masvidal fan. I do believe that fight will be insane. I honestly have to say, Conor McGregor shouldn't right now in his career. I don't think he should be messing around at welterweight too much. I don't think that's his way forward. I think Conor McGregor needs to do great things, and he can do great things at lightweight before going over to welterweight. But I mean, if that's a super fight, I mean, he's stepped up to the occasion so many times. And George Masvidal is a big guy. He's a welterweight, but he's fought at 170. He fought at 155. He fought at lightweight a few times, and I do believe he can make 155. He did say it a few times. So if that's a guy at welterweight Conor wants to fight, that would be impressive. That would be great.
Be awesome. Garreth, your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I think the Gaethje Khabib fight is got to go ahead. I think that's the natural progression of things, and if it's a case of waiting, I think we got to wait. I don't think that we should allow Khabib another opportunity to step aside. If he does step aside, he's got to give the belt up. That's just that's the way it is. I don't think he can hold the division up. So I think he's got to fight Gaethje. What kind of a fight is that going to be? It's going to be difficult. Gaethje's got an incredible wrestling pedigree, and we know that Khabib has struggled against good wrestlers. Quinta couldn't put him away, couldn't out-wrestle him. It was a tough fight for him. Does he have the ability to strike with Gaethje? We saw how devastating that guy is on the feet. So that's a very interesting fight. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are saying Gaethje's the guy to hand Khabib his first loss.
I've got to agree with that.
Then again, you never know from that Russian. He's just every time he does the job. So great fight. Unbelievably the best pick that we could have, and I look forward to that. There's something so enticing about Masvidal and Conor. Masvidal is just super killer on the feet, and he's just got these mad combinations. The guy was fighting in the backyards and in bars and the underground scene for I don't know how long in South America. I mean, anybody who's doing that, you must know is definitely not
scared.
Yeah, he's not scared. And Conor, we know what a tactician that guy is. You know how simple he tries to keep it, and he has simple combinations. But the way that he puts together those simple things is devastating. I think you would probably be in line for one of the fights of probably of the decade. Definitely. I think they will definitely put the hurts on each other. We know that Conor's capable of getting there and fighting and big guys and taking that sort of punishment. Does he have the gas tank to go the distance? That's another thing. Will he be able to last it out? He showed that against Diaz, but I think that was the preparation for Diaz and knowing what to expect. You know, a guy like Masvidal is going to come. He's going to come and want to kill him. He's not going to want to. He's going to want to put Conor away and to show everybody that he's the baddest man in the UFC. I think it puts up another big super fight, and that's what the UFC is always looking for, and that's what Conor tries to create. So, yeah, I do tend to agree with Dricus regarding stepping up. I think he just had a good win against Cowboy Cerrone, but it wasn't the best of Cerrone. So we can't say like, wow, that performance was amazing. He put away a great opponent in terms of that fight. You know, where Cowboy took that crack to the nose, and it just changed everything so quickly. But that's the fight game. It happens that way. Yeah. It happens that way, and I think we're just lining up. I think if you look at the UFC rosters, I think if you look from a heavyweight position to right down to the lower weights, there's amazing fights that have just been lined up, and I think we're in for some crackers as soon as we get back to a full schedule.
Gentlemen, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Dricus. Always good chatting to you. The king of the middleweight division, along with the former king of the middleweight division, if I can put it that way. Dricus, just on social media, where can people follow you? Can you give us an idea of Instagram, Twitter, what your handles are?
Awesome. Guys, thanks for having me. Thanks for watching. Instagram is at Dricus du Plessis. Same for Twitter at Dricus du Plessis, and the Dricus du Plessis page on Facebook. Yeah, just follow to keep updated with my progress, with where I'm going with my career, what's happening with the UFC, what's happening with with the fights. And I mean, I'm doing my daily updates and to let everybody know. And yeah, I mean, you might pick up some good picks for fights and get that betting on. So yeah, give us a follow and let's enjoy the sport.
Dricus, quick one before we run. Who's your fights in the light heavy? Padat or Drotsky?
I'm going for Drotsky.
Okay. Is that where we're seeing you next?
Absolutely. I really hope so. Let's hope this whole thing clears up good enough and we can get that fight going.
Well, I think if you do that and you make that successful, you will definitely put yourself down as the greatest fighter that's come out of this country. I wish you luck. I support you all the way. And hopefully we'll see you in the UFC soon, flying the flag.
Oh, man, thank you so much. That really means a lot.
All right, guys, thank you very much for your time. Remember to like and subscribe on YouTube. And catch us again next time for MMA Uncaged. Thank you, Dricus. Soldierboy, much appreciated, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Let's go.
Cheers.
Come on. This forever. No surrender. Yeah. You know that this right here forever. And there will be no surrender. Now allow me to reintroduce myself. They call me J-O-N to the easy E-N. Know that we undefeated, y'all are beneath them speeches trying to air a grievance. But his lines are overhead, better check the air for clearance. Call the tower, this is ours, clear the heat, the air apparent. Really, I've never been better. Legacy, this is forever. All the more times I've been severed, I'm raising the bar, you can go ahead and